Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to Dragalia Lost. In this video I'm going to go through Brunhilda's moveset as well as some of her attack patterns. Do keep in mind that this is going to be from a Orsem point of view, therefore I do not know any rotations for Lily, Zainfree, Daniel, or anybody else. Also, this is not a prep guide. If you're looking for that, then you'll have to watch my other video, which I will link down below. And that's about it, so without further ado, let's begin. Alright, so the first move that Brunhilda does is her explosion, of course, which is called Scorching Blast. This attack is undodgeable. You have to take the hit, and in order for a character to survive, they must meet a certain HP requirement, which you can find the details for that in my Brunhilda prep guide. Now, this one really isn't considered an attack, but it does deal damage. She dashes a lot throughout the fight, and in fact, she dashes once right in the beginning of the match after she explodes. That's the one dash you really have to look out for, because since it's so hard to meet the HP threshold for this fight, you're probably coming into this fight with the minimum health requirement. So if that's the case, then your character will be extremely low after tanking Scorching Blast. That first dash can literally kill you if you get hit by it, so watch out for that. Next is her Flame Breath. 2 exclamation points will appear on top of her head, and that'll indicate that she's about to do her breath move. This is almost the same as the breath move that regular Brunhilda does. The difference is that Brunhilda's breath doesn't have a yellow range indicator underneath the attack, so it's much harder to tell the range on it, but it's not that hard to dodge. She pretty much just breathes a full 180 degree from left to right, and it is iframeable, so you can just use your skills to dodge it. The most important thing you should know about Flame Breath is that when she performs it, she'll turn her body towards the closest character. If you are a melee character and you're hugging Brunhilda, make sure to stand on the side away from your ranged teammates. You don't want her using her breath towards Lily, and especially not Daniel. Daniel cannot be wasting his skills just to dodge flame breaths. Next is her swipe attack. She doesn't do this that often, but when she does, she swipes in front of her. The hitbox is kind of big, so it hits characters on the side of her. To avoid it altogether, I would just recommend attacking her from behind. Don't stand in front of her. Crimson Inferno is when she flies in the air and does a dive bomb. Regular Brunhilda also does this move, except that Brunhilda's Crimson Inferno has no indicator. You basically just have to look at her body to see who she's targeting, and I'm not entirely sure how the targeting works for this move. I think she targets the character that's farthest away from her, but I'm not 100% on that. I'm just assuming that because from my experience, she always dive bombs Lily or Daniel. But anyways, be sure to dodge it because it does one-shot kill. Alright, Volcanic Blitz. This is a very important move in this fight. She'll start dropping these volcanic boulders on your team. She does it a total of 4 times, and it always targets a single player. She's not always going to target the same person, it might be different every single time, but regardless, these boulders are very important. If you're getting targeted by this move, you want to make sure that the boulder falls somewhere near Brunhilda. The reason you need to do that is because of her Hellfire move. When she does Hellfire, the whole map is in the danger zone. The only way you can dodge Hellfire is if you stand behind one of those Volcanic Blitz boulders. She does Hellfire 4 times in a row, and there's like 5 seconds in between each Hellfire. This means that if the boulder drops nearby her, then you have a few seconds to go in and get a few attacks off, then run back behind a boulder. Do keep in mind that every time she does Hellfire, 1 boulder will disappear. It's basically 1 boulder per Hellfire, so make sure that you know where all the boulders are located. Hellfire does not one-shot, but it does deal a good chunk of damage. If team members get hit by it too many times, then your team might not have enough heals to survive the upcoming attacks. Flame Chaser works about the same as Midgard's Storm Chaser. Everyone on the team will get targeted by this homing purple attack. The difference between the chasers is quite obvious. Brunhilda's Flame Chaser has a way larger radius than Midgard's. This means that in order to not overlap the purple circles, your whole team will have to split up into 4 different corners of the map. If there is an Orsem on the team, then he should be the one to stay next to Brunhilda to continue attacking her while this move is going on, because he'll deal the most DPS in this situation. Searing Pillar always comes after Flame Chaser. It works just like Midgard's. A red circle will appear under one of the players. It's usually the one closest to Brunhilda. When this happens, the whole team needs to stand in the circle to split the damage among each player so everyone can survive the attack. There's no name for this attack, so we just refer to it as meteors. The closest player to Brunhilda will get targeted by 4 series of purple attacks. You can't iframe them obviously, so the player getting targeted just has to run away or dodge roll out. Alright, so moments after you get Brunhilda in overdrive, she will do her signature attack, which is Grand Muspelheim. She'll fly in the air and out of the stage, and when she flies away, your team has to run to the right side of the map because Brunhilda will cover the whole middle area in flames. If you touch the flames, then you'll die instantly, so watch your step. The last attack in her moveset occurs when she's very low in health. It's called Grand Axe Muspelheim. Just like how it says in the name, she's going to do something similar as the first Grand Muspelheim, except that for this one, she'll cover the map in flames in an axe shape. She'll start by breathing fire from right to left, then top to bottom. When this occurs, each member on your team has to be in separate corners of the map. No one should be sharing a single corner because she'll perform Flame Chaser right after she's done breathing fire on the map. Okay, so now that you guys know all her moves, let's go over some important attack patterns and other tips. Alright, so in the beginning of the fight, if you are playing as Orsem and you are not hosting the match, you will end up spawning in one of these 3 spots in the back row. Those 3 spots are out of range of Brunhilda, so what you have to do with Orsem is dodge roll once forward, and then the target marker will appear. She'll do her explosion move, then she always dashes backwards. I think you need like 2 dodge rolls worth of space to not get blown back by the dash. After the dash, she's gonna do her flame breath. If you're playing as a melee, you want to make sure that you are behind her so that she'll flame breath away from the rest of your team. If you don't make her turn around, then your Daniel or Lily might end up getting killed and they'll start spamming the good job sticker, and you don't want that to happen. After the flame breath, she'll do a quick turn and another dash which leads into a claw swipe. If you're Orsem, you can save your skill 1 to iframe the dash and either use skill 2 or just dodge behind her to dodge the claw swipe. Next, she'll do her Crimson Infernal Dive Bomb, which she'll most likely target one of the range players. If you're playing melee, make sure to not stand too close to any of the range guys because the Dive Bomb covers a decently large area. Then afterwards, she'll use Volcanic Blitz, which is the move that summons the boulders. If you're getting targeted by the dropping boulders, then be sure to land them next to Brunhilda. Soon afterwards, she may or may not use Crimson Infernal again. Most of the time she will. I think if your range allies are too far, then she'll actually skip the second Crimson Infernal, which makes her stand around and do a bizarre series of attacks. But yeah, like I said, most of the time she will do the second Crimson Infernal. Right after she does Crimson Infernal is the same time that the second boulder spawns. This is also when she does her second Flame Breath. I would recommend banking one of your skills for this moment just in case you're caught in a bad spot and have to use the skill to iframe it. When the third boulder marker shows up, that's when she's preparing to perform her first Hellfire attack. Once you see that third purple circle appear, you should look around and see where the boulders are on the map so you can prepare yourself for Hellfire. And you don't have to run around behind the boulders, you can just dodge roll in them to the other side. During this Hellfire phase, she'll do Hellfire a total of 4 times, and like I mentioned earlier, 1 boulder disappears after each Hellfire. Try to get as much DPS in between Hellfires, but do keep in mind that after she uses Hellfire, she'll stand around for about 3 seconds, then she'll dash, so don't be too greedy with her attacks. You don't want to get knocked down by the dash and get hit by the next Hellfire. It's extremely important that you get the Hellfire phase down and try your best to avoid taking damage because the following 2 moves after the 4 Hellfires are Flame Chaser and Searing Pillar. If your team takes too much damage from the Hellfires, then Daniel isn't going to have enough heals to get the team healthy enough to survive the Chaser Pillar combo. And in order to survive this combo, your team basically has to split up during Flame Chaser, then group back up during Searing Pillar. Once that combo is finished, Brunhilda will dash backwards, and this part is very important. After she dashes, she's going to do another Flame Breath. Remember that your Daniel just used up his heal, so he probably doesn't have any skills ready, right? With that being said, it's extremely important for the melee players to try and aggro her away from your ranged teammates, and you can aggro her by hugging her and standing on her side that's away from your ranged allies. Once she's done breathing fire, she'll do the meteor attack, which seems to always target me or the Orsem player. I'm assuming it just targets whoever is closest to her. Meteors is followed up by a third Crimson Infernal Dive Bomb, then it leads into Grand Muspelheim. Just run to the right side of the map to avoid the flame trail. Orsem basically does nothing here because he has no range. Daniel and Lily obviously can attack from a distance. Zanefree can also attack her, but he should only use the first poke in his moveset. Just poke once and reset, rinse and repeat. She's gonna do the Pillar Chaser combo again. When Flame Chaser appears, you can get a few attacks off while the circle is building up. After that, this is your team's best opportunity to try and break her overdrive. She'll do all the moves that you've already seen before, such as meteors, dive bombs, claw swipes, dashes, and flame breath. Try to attack her from behind and use as many force strikes as possible. Once she breaks, just use all your skills and constantly attack her until your dragon meter fills up. I believe every DPS player on the team should dragon when it's available. The only one that shouldn't is Daniel. When you transform, don't use your dragon skill immediately because sometimes she'll do her flame breath while you are a dragon and you can just use the dragon skill to dodge it. Now for this part, it's basically the Hellfire phase all over again. She'll do Volcanic Blitz, 4 Hellfires into Flame Chaser, Searing Pillar, and Flame Breath. It's the same sequence as before, so I'm just going to speed it up to the last part. When she finally does Grand X Muspelheim, that means you're almost done with the fight. When she does this move, everyone needs to run into their own little corners, and I'll put a little graphic on screen to show you the danger areas. As you can see from the screen, I'm nowhere to be found. That's because my guy is all the way to the left side of the screen. If you end up being at this corner and you don't know whether or not you're safe, my tip to you is to look at the map and don't stand too far up. The first fire trail she creates goes from right to left or horizontally, so as long as you are at the bottom side, then you'll be safe. After she does her horizontal fire trail, you have a few seconds before she does the vertical flame trail, so this gives you enough time to adjust and safely secure your spot. Anyways, moving on, while everyone is waiting for the fire to go out, Brunhilda does yet another flame chaser attack followed by Searing Pillar. I'm not sure how she targets with Searing Pillar, but whoever gets targeted needs to stay away from the rest of the team so that they have enough space to finish off Brunhilda safely. In my case, she targeted Daniel and he just used his dragon to survive the blow. And yeah, that's pretty much it for High Brunhilda. It's definitely a tough fight, much harder than High Midgard, that's for sure. However, if you didn't have much problem with High Midgard, then you shouldn't with High Brunhilda either. In my personal opinion, I think her moveset is quite easy to learn, but that's not why I think she's difficult. I think hers is more difficult because of the sole fact that mistakes are less forgiving. My reasoning is because the health threshold is much harder to reach, so everyone is jumping in here with minimum requirements, so if players start to take too much damage, then there's not enough heals to continue the fight. Anyways, that's it for this video. I'm heading out, but I'll leave this raw replay up for you guys to watch in case you need to use it as reference. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.